Now we will begin with backward design. As you know, we have already talked about forward design and its features. We have seen central design and its characteristics and how it's been reflected through language teaching approaches. Right. Now, we'll start with backward design and see its features and its implications for language teaching, or for specifically for curriculum development. Right. Well, backward design has generally been seen by Richards as traditional design of language teaching. By traditional, I mean it primarily specifies outputs to be decided in the beginning, and then the questions, I mean, until the decisions about outcomes are decided, we cannot make decisions about choosing appropriate methodology. So in brief, it's the outputs, it's the outcomes of language learning which addresses the questions of language teaching methodology and language input for the learners. Right. You know, as activities and especially the processes of language teaching, the methodology actually is addressed after the decisions about the about learning outputs has been decided. Right. So this is mainly seen as an ends means approach, where ends, I mean, the objectives are first decided, and then the means are later on explored to reach that particular end. Right. So there are mainly 3 steps, and which reflect traditional, which reflect backward design. So first of all is first is we need to identify the desired results. I mean, what outcomes or output we're gonna have from a specific language program. This is the question we need to first address within the framework of backward design. And the second step is to determine acceptable evidence of learning. I mean, to identify the learning experiences of the students. And the thirdly, to plan learning experiences and instructional. And then we can make decisions about choosing instructional materials for a specific language program. So within backward design, we got a message which is about diagnosing the needs of the learners, formulating objectives of the course, and then organizing the course into smaller or bigger units, and then making decisions about evaluation. All right. So there are various examples which demonstrate backward design in English language teaching. Well, there has been various approaches towards language curriculum development. So through language teaching, I mean, how this backward design is represented. For example, backward design primarily lays emphasis on making the aims of the course explicit to the learners, and then splitting those aims into smaller units which are achievable, which can show that the learning is actually taking place in the classroom. So overall, it offers a basis for the organization of the course or the organization of a particular lesson. We could split a task into its activities. For example, if we are having a pedagogical task in the classroom, for instance, if a teacher wants to teach students how to plan holiday and learn the language about planning holidays, right? So we could bring in the task, and we can teach students about pedagogical aspects of the language, for example, grammar, skills, or the functions of the language. So it's mainly, and the third one is the performance. I mean, mainly lays emphasis on observing the performance of the students. I mean, since language learning is largely seen as behavior change, so it looks at or assesses how the performance of, I mean, the achievement or the assessment of students is carried out. Well, backward design, Richard argues, is one of the core approaches towards curriculum development, but it exists with its some of its limitations, and we've got some criticism against backward design, which I will briefly just discuss here. Well, since backward design, as you know, lays emphasis on identifying the outcomes of a course first. So the decisions about methodology and content are decided later on. So the critics actually argue that it it it's, it limits language teaching to an efficient or mechanical way. I mean, it, because it doesn't see the needs of the students, their cultural, social, or some political needs of the students in terms of language learning. So, in summary, backward design is another approach envisaged by Richards, and while putting forth backward design as traditional approach towards language curriculum design, Richard has done remarkable research, and this research shows how backward design has been chosen or implemented in the context of language teaching.